Good afternoon and welcome to our Sunday afternoon 1MD live show. Thank you, Dr. Joshi and Dr. Shetty, for joining us week after week and educating all of us on common health issues and COVID, of course, for the past year and a half. As COVID infections are, reducing across the nation, and we're seeing city and states are opening up to normalcy, we have decided that we will be taking up different topics related to health. And with Dr. Joshi and Dr. Shetty, we'll be having and continuing this show as Mind and Body Dialogues. We expect that you viewers also give us suggestions on what topics you would like us to cover in these upcoming shows. Without further ado, I would ask Dr. Joshi to first talk about the World Obesity Day, as well as the Women's Day. And then in this episode, we will be covering issues regarding mind and body related to these two issues. So, Dr. Joshi, stage is all yours.
So first of all, Anirudh, I would like to put on the record from 1MD, your human service for consistently keeping this educational motive for lay people at large. And for the last 2 years, tirelessly throughout the COVID pandemic, you have supported me and Guru Anna in this endeavor. So congratulations to you and keep on doing your good work. And keep on, I also wish you success for your simplified prescriptions for the medical community. Uh, 4th of March was the time for everyone to act from the International World Body World Obesity, and that was about obesity. We know that we have a large obesity problem in India. 138 million people are obese, and that's a very huge problem. And when we have such a big obesity problem, it's really a challenge. In fact, world's 20% of obese population lives in India. 30% of children are impacted with obesity, and it is projected that it will grow by threefold. And as we talk of obesity, it is equally important that on 8th of March is the World Woman Day, where we recognize the superior biological sex, the woman. And we know that 20% of urban Indian women are impacted by obesity. In fact, when we look at obesity in women from an Indian perspective, in 2015, as per the National Family Health Survey, the 20% or 1 in 5 women in India were obese. And in 2021, which is last year, 24%, 1 in 4 women are obese. So when we look at obesity and women's health, we know a lot of common problems are associated with it: depression, obstructive sleep apnea, asthma, heart disease, lung disease, stomach issues like acidity, stress urinary incontinence, polycystic ovary, degenerative disorders, even gynecological cancers, and infertility. So obviously it's a huge problem, and it's all linked to losing weight. So it's very, very crucial that we recognize that we eat slowly, we eat on time, we eat the right food, eat more a large breakfast, moderate lunch, and light dinner. At least do 10,000 or 8,000 steps per day. Try to do some muscle building exercises like Surya Namaskar, yoga, pranayama, meditation, dhyana, and then try to sleep for a good 7 hours. And all these go in a long way in improving overall health. We know that losing weight is all about healthy eating, physical activity, and it's also, you cannot lose weight if you don't have motivation and mindset. And that is where, as far as obesity is concerned, my first question goes to Guru Anna, that it is, everybody wants to lose weight for cosmetic reasons. They don't view obesity as a health condition, as a condition which can cripple and disable, a condition which can bankrupt economies. And it's all a mind issue. So, it is all about motivation. It is all about impulse control. When they see food, they can't resist. So how does one handle a behavior, particularly when you see and smell food? Because there are hedonic inputs, as they call it, and these hedonic inputs really make it very, very difficult for general people at large to resist the various energy intakes, because they see food which is palatable as something very pleasurable, and the center for the food when they start thinking of food are all hedonic. They are all in the hypothalamus, which you know, Guru Anna, which are closely linked to addiction. So food is very addictive. So how does one handle food addiction? How does one build resilience? A lot of eating is emotional. So how can you tell our viewers at large, how can they really control the whole eating behavior? Because ultimately, if you have to lose weight and stay healthy, and healthy nation wants us to control mindful eating. So the first hashtag for the day is mindful eating. And if you want to eat mindfully, you need to learn to share, look at food, keep looking at it, share and taste, and not eat it more. So, Anna, what are your tips on mindfulness eating, emotional eating, and behavioral control on this whole science of obesity? Because science of obesity from lifestyle is closely interlinked to cognition, emotional control, impulse control, and overall behavioral control.
Well, let me start by saying that obesity for the person has different interpretations. Ask a schoolgirl more than a schoolboy. Most of them come and tell me that they are fat. They're actually not fat. And they starve themselves to get into the hourglass figure or zero slim figure. When they come to me, I raise this issue of self worth, and which is so important. I raise this issue of diet and memory, diet and performance, diet and health. And when I start, I ask them, I find out and ask them what makes them feel that their self worth is good, self esteem is good, and they feel in balance within themselves and outside. And when I ask them, I find two reasons. One is I need to score well to make my parents happy. I need to look good because this is what is looking good. I need to be slim, trim, and not an ounce of fat. Then I asked them, is there something you would want to know? And they said yes. And I use this sentence all the time with these young girls and the boys. How you feel defines how you look. And it's not the other way around. You can't believe, have an hourglass figure and then feel nice. If you feel nice, you'll be able to manage your diet appropriately. You'll be able to manage other things of life. So what does it mean? I just tell them that hypothalamo pituitary adrenal axis, if it's managed well, then you'll see your eyes shining, cheeks glowing. Then you will know how much to eat and how to accept your body exactly as it is. Two learnings: helping children accept their body exactly as it is, and helping them understand that self-esteem has different layers. It has different reasons, not just one reason, how thin or how fat I am, or not that one reason that I'm doing well in my studies. It's a lot of hard work. There's a lot of peer influence. There's a lot of influence across the media. And that is the first step which we actually do. And if they fail to do that, all those who chase that hourglass figure become anorexic, become bulimic, which means they do not eat at all. Bulimic means eat and then slowly put your fingers inside and vomit. And they get depressed. Sometimes we go via the depressed route, treatment of depression. Sometimes we go by the therapeutic route where counseling, such as cognitive behavior therapy, is. If you ask a young woman or a young man who's actually obese scientifically, and he has to control his diet at the same time, as you said, have mindful eating. Well, I'm not obese, but I've stopped sugar from the 1st of January. I'll share my experience. What happens when there's food craving? So after I've stopped, today is March 13th, and I've cheated only once, one Mysore pak from the food. But let me tell you, when my son is having tea with sugar in the morning along with me, I have a sense of craving, intense craving. I said, आज एक दिन पी लेंगे यार, दो sip मार लेंगे यार, and then slowly that stops. And slowly I continue eating my food and I go. And people tell me, ek hafta, 1 week, if you don't have sugar, your mind changes. No, every day it was a fight. And which means for anybody who's obese, if he likes his best food, as Dr. Shashank just said, keep it in in keep it in front of him or her, and allow him to observe his automatic thoughts, experience automatic feelings and automatic sensations. Automatic thoughts, आज एक दिन ले लेंगे यार, today, tomorrow from tomorrow, no. Nobody is looking, let me have one. That's what I did when I cheated with the Mysore Pak at night from the fridge. Now doctors are simple creatures. They are spoiling our mood. Khao pio ash karo. And a lot of automatic thoughts. So allow the automatic thoughts to come and go, come and go. Allow it to come and go. It will swing, come and go, come and go. And you eat as much as essential. A lot of craving would mean just take deep breaths. Tell yourself that you're doing a great activity, and slowly you'll find automatic thoughts receding, positive thoughts coming. Some amount of self-talk at that time also works. I need to eat as much as I should, as prescribed by the doctor, and I need to leave the food as it is. The more one looks at alcohol and does not drink, slowly his craving goes down after 2-3 weeks, after 4 weeks. Similarly, the craving for food can go down. So exposure, exposing him to the food, response prevention, stopping him from eating, helps him to slowly calm down. Along with that, sometimes there are mood issues. There are depressive symptoms of depression, clear cut. And that time, give an antidepressant which causes loss of appetite. I know increase in weight. That brings down the impulsivity, elevates the mood. Then there is stress, or there are stressors. My wife is not talking to me. My husband is not talking to me. My son has not passed his engineering. My daughter has gone to USA, but she's not actually studying, and manage those issues through structured counseling or psychotherapy. And remember, accept him as a human being. Remember, each human being is very unique, and he needs to feel completely accepted. He or she needs to feel completely accepted and not judged. So across time, slowly, with with things going better, there are many good days, there are few bad days, there are many good days, there are one bad day, and slowly you'll find that the craving goes down, impulsivity goes down, and there is a reinforcement of some amount of victory that I have been able to control my diet and I go and do exercise. Lastly, Dr. Shashank, what is also very important is एक बार तुम announce किया कि तुम मिठाई नहीं खाओगे, बिस्किट नहीं खाओगे, and then इज्जत की भी बात होती है ना. I have to maintain my reputation that what I have said I will follow. वचनबद्ध होते हैं, and sometimes that sort of a motivation also actually helps. When people do it together, the motivation is much stronger. 3 women, 3 men, or 4 people in the family, they do it together, and that also really motivates you well. And sometimes putting a picture on the Facebook or anywhere that I am 31 days clean of excessive food, excessive sugar, also actually works. When people congratulate you, then slowly it happens. Sometimes it so happens, Dr. Shashank, people are on psychiatric medication, the weight is very high, and they find it very difficult to really lose weight, because for the psychiatrist, the choice is between obesity and good mental health. And there you need to really have a psychiatrist, an endocrinologist like you, an obesity specialist like you, and a dietitian and a trainer to join hands and see to it to find the right balance for the person to really stop eating. I would like to ask you, Dr. Shashank, I hear from you and many other physicians that in the COVID and post COVID, you see a lot of unstable diabetes, unstable blood pressure, and post COVID, because of anxiety or depression, pain, whatever. There are people who have been eating more than what they should. I have a boy who has been eating excessively because he stopped his exercise and he's obese. And he refused to go to refused to go to his college once the college opened. It took me a lot of time for that to happen. So have you seen a lot of obesity post-COVID with unstable sugars, unstable eating, or even unstable blood pressure? I've seen a lot of patients with unstable mental health.
So, Guru Anna, very true. In the last 2 years, we were mini lockdown. Times of uncertainty made people eat more, exercise less. Our dependence on digitally delivered foods at home increased. Naturally, we ate a lot of outside food, which is not necessarily healthy food. Healthy food is expensive. Healthy food is always homemade. Healthy food is cooked in less oil. Healthy food is more organic. And healthy food is really what our ancestors had and when we did a lot of physical activity. So what happened in COVID times for non-COVID people is that they became more sedentary. They got addicted to gadgets like television, smartphone, and internet and computer screens. They ate much more because when you see or when you work on the screen, you tend to binge eat. So our caloric net input went up. They were all calorie dense foods and they were physically less active. Due to uncertainty and unknowns, the sleep got contracted. People got addicted and hooked on to things like Netflix and Hotstar, and they were seeing movies. They contracted their sleep. Lack of sleep, mental stress, physical stress, lack of exercise, a lot of improper eating was a perfect recipe for weight gain, uncontrolled blood pressure, uncontrolled diabetes, and disruption in regular health checkups. A lot of people who had mild diabetes, mild hypertension on one or two medicines are now coming back to me with many more medicines. So first thing, my advice to everybody is that if you had any disease in any category, whether it was a lung disease like COPD, asthma, blood pressure, diabetes, go back and visit your doctor. That is the first thing. Second is eat less, reduce the quantity of food you're eating, eat slowly, eat on time, eat the right food, start reinforcing your physical activity again, learn to have fresh air, sleep more. Beyond that, beyond that, Guru and I are absolutely right that you are talking about drugs. A lot of drugs cause weight gain. They are not just psychiatric drugs. Yes, in psychiatric drugs, we have drugs like olanzapine or we have drugs like risperidone, which can gain weight. But Guru and I, you also have drugs like naltrexone, topiramate, which can make you lose weight. So there are the psychiatrists are aware that there are drugs which are useful in weight loss also. Three drugs actually are very useful, which are psychiatric drugs, have been now approved by the US FDA for weight loss. Naltrexone, bupropion, and the topiramate, and they are useful in combinations. And they are useful for people who crave, people who are depressed, or people who smoke. Anti-craving, smoking, as well as depression go hand in hand. So these drugs are approved. The other thing is in obesity, always look for comorbidities. Whether you have pre-diabetes, as Guru Anna said, diabetes, hypertension, heart disease. Then we have these modern age agents which make you lose weight. There are injections like GLP-1. We also have oral GLP-1 like semaglutide now available, injectables like liraglutide available. And we have also these modern age agents like metformin or SGLT2 inhibitors which promote weight gain. So we have a lot of treatment options now available beyond just lifestyle. Now remember that losing weight is the easy part, but maintaining that lost weight and not regaining that weight is the difficult part. So when we are looking at weight management, and today our focus is obesity and then we are going to the woman, maintaining weight is tough. There you sometimes need two things. One is motivation and determination, and second is medications. Medication bit I did say that we can use many medications which are used in mental health space as well as physical health space. But motivation and determination are tough entities. Keeping yourself motivated persistently over a period of time and understanding that that little weight loss and maintaining that little lost weight is not just cosmetically useful, because some professions only, when many people tell that I am not into acting, I don't have to go to media, so I don't really need to lose weight. What happens if I'm a little obese? But that's not true. It's good for good health. Obese people, live shorter. So if you want to improve your lifespan, you need to, probably lose more weight. So Anna, how does one stay motivated and determined after you have achieved a goal? Many people
Absolutely.
have a goal for going and fitting in the right clothes for a marriage. Once the marriage is over, they binge and they regain all that lost weight. How does one stay motivated? how does one stay determined? How does one stay resolved and resilient to maintain that weight loss? It's all again geared up in our neurocircuitry and psychological apparatus. So how does one really reconstruct that and stay firm? Anna?
Well, very important is there's always a honeymoon phase after you lose weight. And then you feel reinforced. Everybody says that you have lost weight. How did you do it? Tell us so. And then after some time, people do not praise you. The positive reinforcement dies. And they get used to the new you. And when they get used to the new you, you also forget your self-talk. You believe everything is right and I am healthy mentally and physically. Now I should indulge. And this hedonistic behavior comes back because even if there's a new normal, the old you is hiding behind the curtains, reminding you of all those old great memories which you had. So the old you bounces back because it is not completely deleted from your mind. And that bounces back, and on some days you might actually lose yourself and go on a binge. And so once the honeymoon phase slowly starts going down and people stop praising you, people stop congratulating you, you suddenly have to go into the late reinforcement phase, which is reminder, just like Twitter says, set a reminder, just like a Facebook says, set a reminder to the one MD talk on Sunday at 12 o'clock. रिमाइंडर इन योर माइंड अभी सब कुछ अच्छा है अभी मैं फिसल सकता हूँ इट्स जस्ट लाइक अल्कोहल एक वर्ष मी सोडलो आता मी थोडं घेतलं तर काही होणार नाही and that's the time you tell yourself and rework everything what you have done on day one of your change and live that day all over again, continue that for some time and announce I was about to sleep. You all stopped congratulating me. I felt everything was over. I think the happiness around me is less. So I felt like doing those same things which I did when I was bad. So I reminded myself and I tell my relatives, please reinforce me a little, hold my hand around this time, and again bounce back and I continue. Once the new you establish himself or herself in the old you, and the old you softwares are slowly overwritten, then you remain where you are. And after some time, the second trigger would be the first I said was when the honeymoon phase goes away. The second is if you face the same hurdles in the past which reinforce your excessive eating, if you actually experience the same stimulus which reinforced you like that made you excessive, forced you to eat excessively, if those triggers come, you need to cope with the triggers differently so that you do not slip back. Number three, when your friends make very fun of you, where is the muscle यार, तेरा fat bed सब गया, कैसे चलेगा ऐसा? आज एक दिन यार, आज एक दिन, and that आज एक दिन will again trigger all the memories of your past, will again bring you all the video images of your past and you again sync. So number one, honeymoon phase as it recedes, remind yourself of your responsibilities, of your behaviors. Number two, improve your self-talk and the same self-talk which you gave yourself when you started planning your diet in the first phase when you recovered. Number three, which is again very important, is let your family reinforce you little. And number four, look at the consequences, what will happen if you actually do what you're not supposed to. With that, I think maintenance is easy, maintenance will become better. And once you're maintained well for some time, then it becomes your permanent software, your permanent behavior, which is very difficult to change or shift. So, dear Dr. Shashank, when we talk about obesity, how do you manage these young boys and girls who want the right size, the right hip, and how do you manage their mothers and their fathers who insist that this my daughter should look trim and fit and he should do whatever, give her whatever, give him whatever, so that he or she is all right.
You're very right, Guru Anna. There is a lot of psychosocial pressure, peer pressure, parental pressure to lose weight. But the biggest problem there is stigma. So first of all, if somebody is chubby and overweight, they have a very negative self-esteem, and they feel ostracized and stigmatized. So first of all, I always pep them up and say that, look, you look to be you're normal, like you're from United States, you are a New York kid. Pep them up, give them positive stimulus. And they say that, like, now it's important that we recognize that you need to chop off that little extra fat. It's important to get in some physical activity more, and you can be fit but obese, fit but healthy. And first get the fitness mantra on board, because most of the children, particularly adolescents, are doing double school, the classes and the school, and they now everything was online, so they are very sedentarized. They're eating fast foods and they're eating food very erratically. So it's important that the parents and the children both recognize that they need to be mindful of their eating. They need to be cautious and careful. They need to spend some energy. Unfortunately, the energy equation of obesity is we keep on storing fat by eating more, and we don't spend that energy by physical activity. As long as we get that energy right, and also remember, when they do physical activity, it's a very good outlet. It not only improves their physical health, Guru Anna, it improves their mental health also, because they regain their self-esteem, they regain their lack of confidence they have because of overweight. A lot of overweight children, their self-esteem and they are it's very negative. So it's important to reinforce positive vibes in them, and it's very important that they learn that weight loss is healthy. It's a good thing, but they don't have to go on the other extreme. And I'm sure, Guru Anna, you see this also, that they start starving, they go on to these fat diets, and these fat diets can be deleterious to health, and then they land up fainting, and then they land up in a hospital. So it's equally important to tell them that, remember, these fat diets are not evidence based, they may not be scientific, they need to be carried out under expert advice, in expert supervision of a doctor, nutritionist, physical activity, as a team, Guru Anna, which you said, including a mental health expert. And everybody needs to work on them, but it has to come from within. Parents need to understand that you cannot make a horse drink water if the horse doesn't want to drink water. So it's very important for that adolescent rebellious child to tell that child that health and being healthy is also being a little loss of weight. Even 5% of weight loss is going to make that child healthier physically and medically and mentally in the long run. And that's very crucial. So I think, this is something very crucial and very important. Having spoken a lot on obesity today, let us move to our final topic, which is women's health. Women often bear, they are superhumans. As I said, endocrinologically and biologically, they are the superior sex. And we bow down to all of them, all the women on planet Earth, for bearing with men. And this year's theme is Break the Bias. Gender equality, gender equanimity is really the truth in the International Women's Day today. And what happens is that they are a mother, they are a spouse, they are a child, and they are doing multiple functions. They have to take care of their own health, they have to take care of the health of their spouse, their partner, their children, their in-laws, their parents. And beyond that, most women now are working, and they are also learning. So when they are learning, when they are working, and they are working also for home and are responsible, they have these multiple responsibilities. That generates a lot of mental and physical stress. And they go through something called as a burnout. And this burnout often is physical, which takes a toll on their metabolic health, on their hormonal health. And as an endocrinologist, almost 70% of the persons I say as patients are women, mainly because they are burnt out and their whole neuroendocrine chemistry gets hurt. They develop type 2 diabetes, obesity, PCOD, thyroid problems, They all have a gender predilection for women. They also trigger autoimmune diseases. All they also have a gender predilection for women. And we need to reverse this trend. We need to ensure that women sleep more, women self-love and do self-care. They often tend to ignore their own health. So it's very, very crucial for women to screen for their own health, stay happy, love themselves, and see a doctor regularly for their own conditions. Particularly if there's a strong family history of non-communicable diseases like say diabetes or thyroid, they should screen themselves and seek help if needed. So that is as far as the medical issues are concerned on this Women's Day, and it's very, very important that they also are given the rightful and more equal place with men across. So Guru Anna, this is also as much a physical issue for women because of the extraordinary burden they carry on their shoulders of everyone, the men around them, the women around them, the families around them, and the world around them. And therefore, how does one handle this mentally, psychologically? Also, remember, women have endocrinologically issues related to menarche, issues related to menopause, issues related to bone health. They also have to go through labor. So there are multiple special problems, and therefore we really respect women, revere women, and on this World Women Day, which was celebrated on the 8th of March, and this is the International Women's Week and the International Women's Month, and actually we should have all worn pink today. But Anna, how does one? What would be your tips for women to stay strong, and because they are leaders of the world today? And how does one maintain gender parity in a testosterone man's world?
I think the first thing is, what are your belief systems? Man or a woman, they have to examine their belief systems. Well, with respect to Women's Day, I wish there's a Man's Day also. With respect to Women's Day, I would like to say that examine your belief systems. Number one, I should be efficient and perfect at home, at work, with my in laws, with my spouse, and with my children. Not possible. So, accepting that you're human, you cannot do everything well. You can do some things well, and some things you may not be able to do completely. And that is the belief system that has to change. I cannot be perfect in every environment and every role. I'm not the superwoman of the family. Well, it is reinforced in our society. कि कितना अच्छी बहू है, ऐसी बहू मिलना पिछले जन्म के कर्म, अच्छे कर्म होना चाहिए. इतनी अच्छी बीबी है, माँ तो तबा तबा, इतना 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 अच्छा है. और वैसे अपने भी माँ बाप का ख्याल रखती है और हमारे भी ख्याल रखती है. खलास, कौन? So number one, what are your belief systems? You cannot be a superwoman. What are your second belief system? My salary has to go into my husband's account, and then from him I should take my pocket money. I should take my pocket money from my mother-in-law, and my salary has to go into my family account. Number three, I do not have any say. Every decision of mine is being taken by the family. No, wrong belief system. Fourth, I should not waste my time. I should do work whenever there is a chance. And there are many women who just cannot rest for 10 minutes without doing anything. Doing nothing is sometimes an intervention which we use with young women or even middle age. Indian women, though educated, a lot of them still have that ancestral beliefs. हमको कम खाना चाहिए, अच्छा खाना पति और बेटे को, कम कम सोना चाहिए और ज्यादा काम करना चाहिए. So how do you change the belief system? Change the belief system by one, accepting that you're a human being, you have rights, you have roles, you have responsibilities, but you have right to rest, right to take care of your mental health. Well, Bal Gangadhar Tilak said quietly to his son one day, in a jocular manner, joy is your birthright and you should have it. And he told his son, probably to tell his wife, in a very light-hearted manner. So number one important statement is, my dear women, are you martyr? Are you a martyr? आप हुतात्मा हो क्या? Or are you a manager? If you're a manager, you'll delegate. You'll not do everything yourself. You may not cook one day. You may say, let's call food from outside, or let's eat only simple things. You may not get up in the morning to make a breakfast someday. Perfectly all right. So I would say an imperfect home is a healthy abode. An imperfect kitchen is a happy house. An imperfect mother is a happy wife. And an imperfect wife is a happy marriage. So focus on yourself. Do not wait for reinforcements, positive stuff all the time from around the family. Do not prove yourself, attempt to prove yourself all the time with your family. Having said that, remember, money is an emotion. Money is power for women. When she has money on her side, respect also improves in the family. Unfortunately, but that is true. So, the third most important thing is sleep well, eat good food. The middle piece of the pomfret or the leg of the chicken can also be had by women. Number three, rest enough. There's no need to sit with your son when he's studying for 10 cents. You go to sleep. Sleep, as Dr. Shashank said, food on time. Exercise is a must. And if you can, do some yoga and accept that at times you will also fail, you will also make mistakes, and you cannot be perfect all the time. And that is the base. So belief systems has to be changed, behavior practice has to be changed, and when you change your behavioral practice, remember there will be a riot in the house. हमारे खानदान में ऐसा नहीं होता है. Unless there is hangama, there is no change. And they will slowly start accepting the new normal. Having said that, help seeking behavior has to be quick. Go to the doctor as early as your husband goes to the doctor, or your son, you take your son to the doctor. Don't wait for everything to collapse till you go to the doctor. And number four, if you're not getting along with your spouse, try your best to manage your marriage. If not, divorce में न तो शान है, न तो शर्म. And remember, if at all you have a conflict, remember that you do not bring your children into the conflict. See that you support your kids as a mother and see that the kids also respect their father, though there are differences between the spouses. Lastly, if you're a grandmother or if you are an elderly woman in your 40s, your mind and your hormones can play games, just like you may have menopausal blues or andropausal blues, and you find yourself very irritated. See that you go to your friendly doctor, physician, or a psychiatrist. And if you're a grandmother, remember you may love to take care of your grandchildren, but you need to have your own time, and you cannot be only taking care of your grandchildren all the time, though you would want to do that. You need to have your own space with your spouse or even alone. My dear elderly women, do not be stuck by saying we will always live alone when your kids want you to come and stay with them and they want to take care of them. Please be flexible. And though you want your own independence, and sometimes elderly women say, हमको हमारे बच्चे का कुछ नहीं चाहिए, हम आत्मनिर्भर हैं, देश को आत्मनिर्भर बनाओ, आपको नहीं. So sometimes when your children want to take care of you, please go and stay with them. They love to take care of you. They feel happy to take care of you. It's not a burden at all. You are never a burden. Indian women should move away from the guilt. मेरे वजह से किसी को तकलीफ नहीं होना चाहिए. छोड़ दो यार. बच्चे बुलाते हैं. इंडिया में, अमेरिका में कहीं भी जाओ, रहो, ऐश करो. उसमें कोई शर्म नहीं. Do not invoke guilt and do not provoke guilt. Little of these things probably your software will change, and if your belief systems change, you'll transfer the belief systems to your own children, your sons, as well as your daughters, and so the women in the next generation also would actually change.
Very, very true, Guru Annam. As we end our show, I would just like to give 2-3 messages. Lifestyle is key. Messages of lifestyle are difficult to follow. They're easier said than done, but we need to be very cheerful and positive. And using a twin mechanism of a positive mindset, emotional regulation is as important as medical advice and medications. As doctor for adults, I often have to give medications. Often I have to monitor various blood parameters when I'm faced with diseases like obesity, thyroid, blood pressure, and others. But as important is it to monitor them by doing blood tests, by examining the patient, by ensuring that they get the right medications. It is very important to recognize that the person is healthy if the person is happy. And therefore, happiness is the key, whether it is obesity or whether it is woman's health. If there is anguish, if there is anxiety, if there is uncertainty, if there is negativity, it all goes down the drain. Because eventually, if you want good outcomes in health, in wellness, and stay away from illness, it is important to be happy. So, my last point on this show today is to ask Guru Anna to give his final message on the World Obesity Day and the International Women's Day on happiness. Because eventually, world has to be a happier place. It has to be a place which is blissful and happy. Because for good health, the most integral part in healing is happiness. So Anna, your Guru Mantra on staying happy.
I would only say one thing: the mind and the body, they talk to each other. Let them have a great relationship. And also remember that we can make mistakes, we may fail. Once, if we are able to allow the mind and the body to take care of each other, life starts over once again. There's no need to be perfect. There's no need to be right all the time. With this, I would also add that we're going to come back in this show with newer topics, as Dr. Shashank and Anirudh said, that please give your feedback of the issues you need to be discussed. It may not be COVID all the time. It may be health topics. We'll get guests also whom you would like, and issues which you think you would like. And with this, Anirudh, Shashank, and me would like to thank you for your patience, for your constant encouragement, your constant support, and your feedback, positive and sometimes negative, which has helped us to carry our show across 2.5 years. And let me tell you, this is not a service. This also helps and boosts our mental health. Thank you.